Good afternoon, preppers. Welcome to our next edition of Goshen Prepping. Nuclear attacks, nuclear detonations, even dirty bombs are the worst of the worst when it comes to fears. And watch through this video because, unfortunately, I think we're starting to connect dots of a situation that actually may be unfolding right before our eyes. And it's a situation we don't even think about. Let's look at this first article. Have you seen this? It's been all over the news. FBI, don't be alarmed by upcoming nuclear training incident exercises in Houston. A large-scale multi-agency nuclear training exercise will happen May 1st through the 5th, and it doesn't pose a risk to the people in the area. And I realize that you're watching this video either during that time or the drill's already ended, but that's not the point. The point is, here we are in the United States, in the 50s, height of the Cold War, well, even later, height of the Cold War, obviously, we always had duck and cover and fallout shelters, and many of those things have actually disappeared once the wall went down, once the Soviet Empire collapsed. But now here it comes again. We're seeing nuclear incident training exercises taking place. And I know a lot of people are saying that's possibly just a false flag, that something may happen in Houston. Time will tell. Probably not. I don't think it's going to happen. But we do have to worry about these situations. And understanding as far as nuclear preparedness goes is important because we're seeing all kinds of events taking place right now. First off, we're seeing that in Ukraine, they're actually sending in all kinds of nuclear detectors because they are worried about Russia, and Russia is doing more than just saber rattling, but actually sending tactical nukes to Belarus, preparing for possible tactical nuclear attack. The war there is not doing well, and it very well could easily turn nuclear. Not to mention we're seeing an increase in the rise of nuclear weapons in Russia for the fact that they've basically dissolved the START treaty. You know, we have the START treaty to limit the number of nuclear weapons, and they're said, you know what, all this stuff's happening, all bets are off the table. And we're seeing Russian nuclear subs coming close to the United States. This has actually happened all throughout the Cold War, and those specific things actually don't worry me as much. All right, but the list does go on and on. And you being prepared for you and your family is vitally important because we're seeing these things pop up in the news more and more and more. In intelligence, we call this chatter. Now, obviously, we're not talking about just mainstream media, but when you're starting to see more and more and more events, even simply just talking those events taking place, the chatter is increasing, and that's when your alert levels need to go up. That's the whole reason why we're seeing this event taking place in Houston. And that's the whole purpose of this video. It isn't simply just to warn you that they're doing another drill down in Houston. That stuff happens all the time, but it's to prepare you, to get you ready for what I think is going to be an inevitable problem that's heading our way. It's a very scary thought that we may actually get hit by a nuke, but that's why we prep. This is Goshen Prepping. So how do we do that? There's a couple things I always recommend. Number one is this book called The Nuclear War Survival Skills. It's actually produced by the Oak Ridge National Laboratory for Nuclear, which is like the top as far as how all this works. It's stuff I've actually been trained through. It's a fantastic book to understand nuclear. Of course, I have my nuclear prepping series too. We'll talk about that in a second. And secondly, I've mentioned this many times too, we have a Geiger counter and be able to actually detect electrons, beta radiation, gamma, X-ray radiation is vital because who knows if your food outside will be contaminated or your water, etc. So having a Geiger counter in stock in your preparedness area, probably your Faraday cage for this is vital. But I'll put both of these in the description below as far as links go. Now, again, I have all kinds of nuclear videos out, a nuclear prepping series. Being an ex-specialist in the military as far as nuclear goes, I understand it quite well, and I try to put it across a way you'll be able to understand. If you haven't seen those videos, I definitely tell you to take a look if you possibly get a chance. I'll put that link right now to be able to check it out. Thank you so much for watching.